Hi everybody, welcome back to another video in the Van Other Collective. Now this month's video is on storage. Please check out all the other channels, their logos will be somewhere outside the caravan here. I'm probably filming this a lot earlier than anybody else. It's Maybank holiday, we've just come back from our service and the caravan is an absolute tip. All I've done is brought everything back to the caravan, I haven't started putting things away. And then I thought I might as well do the storage video whilst I'm doing that. So the first thing to note is that we don't travel with a lot of stuff in the caravan, and that is solely down to the weight restrictions. In fact, I'm not a fan of encouraging people or showing people how to carry more in their caravans, because I already believe that people are carrying far too much weight than they are permitted to. Just this weekend I saw a post on Facebook to say that the police were pulling people over on the M6 and they were carrying out various checks, one of those being weight and taking them to a weighbridge, and yeah, I think they were sort of letting people off with a bit of a warning for first time offenders. There's several reasons why you wouldn't want to be carrying too much stuff in your caravan. Firstly is the safety. You don't want a caravan that's unstable. You don't want a caravan that is too heavy if you need to brake in an emergency. You know, a heavy caravan is going to take a lot longer to brake. Then of course there's fuel costs and stuff like that. You're going to pay more for carrying stuff around if it's stuff that you don't use. If you do get pulled over and they want to, they can of course fine you, and I'm not sure what those fines go up to, but it will be in the thousands of pounds. And lastly, your insurance. If you have an accident and your caravan is overweight, then it is almost certain that your insurance will be void. So with all that being said, our video is as much about storage whilst we're using the van as it is about storing things when you're towing it. So as I mentioned a minute ago, the caravan is a bit of a mess. I'll just show you. We've got all this stuff down here. Obviously got bits up on the side here and lots of stuff on the bed. Now don't be alarmed at the amount of stuff that we have in the caravan, because what I've done is I've basically brought all of the stuff that we had from the winter. So I took it out, left it in my car, now just put it back into the caravan. But I've also brought our summer bags up, so what I'm going to do is sort through it, and a lot of the stuff is going to be going back home, and fingers crossed we don't need any more winter bits and pieces. They'll stay at home until probably September, October, and then we'll start again and turn the summer stuff into winter stuff. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of show and tell, give you some sort of idea of what we do for storage, but I'm also going to give you some tips as well. We generally pack heavy items in the car, especially the big and bulky stuff, because it allows for the fiddly bits to stay in the caravan. I don't want to be walking out with 20 small items. I'd rather walk out with one big item and allow those items in the van. Now I'm going to do a separate video on weight, so I'm going to try and keep this sort of separate to that weight thing, but just, you know, as a point of interest, we did weigh everything on the bathroom scales when we first put stuff in, and we're very conscious of putting extra bits and pieces in. We also took our caravan to 2 weigh bridges, so I will do a separate video and try and keep the weight element separate from this one. So we also take our clothes holdalls in the car. A lot of people will travel with clothes hanging in here. Now the danger with that is you fold one t-shirt and it weighs next to nothing, but you've all packed a bag, you've all packed a suitcase, whatever. When you put all your clothes together, it weighs an absolute ton. Now granted, there might be a little bit more material on my clothes, but even Sara's bag, you know, it weighs an absolute ton. So when you're hanging things from here, not only are you having basically the weight of a full holdall hanging from here, it's only on this side, it's not on that side of the caravan, and those clothes will swing, so it's not very stable. So my suggestion to you would be not to take your clothes in the caravan. If of course your payload restrictions allow you to take a bit of weight in the caravan, then by all means bring your clothes, but keep them in a bag. Keep all bulky heavy items central down the caravan that way, and across the axle if possible. You'll know when you do your nose gauge check if you've got too much stuff in the back or too much stuff in the front. remember to try somehow to stop it from moving around, because there's every chance that you stick a 40 kilo awning here, and then when you come to unhitch, you open the caravan up, it's then down there. Now obviously that's not very stable for the caravan when you're driving, but also, you know, if you've got something that's quite heavy and bulky, it could smash into your oven, it could smash into your fridge. You can buy bars that sort of push against the two settees, the wooden parts at the bottom that just sort of hold things in. You can buy bungees, but yeah, just try and make sure that they're not going to move around too much. We do travel with the Aqua Roll and the Wastemaster in the bathroom. They fit absolutely perfect in there, and to be fair, they don't weigh a huge amount when they're empty, but they fit perfectly, so there's no movement in there at all. Top tip: do not travel with anything unless it's soft. Don't travel with anything in your shower tray. The shower tray is prone to cracking if you go over a speed bump, or let's say if we lived in a country where there was a lot of potholes, then yeah, you go over one of them and it jumps up and falls back down onto the shower tray, and it is likely it will crack. So because I can't get to the sofas, I'm going to do most of this video on the bed, but I am just going to walk around and show you a few different bits. So first of all is storage boxes and trays. Now we basically went round, measured all of the cupboards and found different size trays, and sort of, yeah, these aren't boxes, we've got some over there that fit into the cupboard perfectly. So some of the cupboards needed one big one, one small one. We tend to keep all of the dogs' food, and we take limited food, so we sort of take more pouches each weekend, because, you know, that in itself weighs quite a little bit. I said we weren't going to talk about weight. Yeah, and we just keep all of the dogs' towels and blankets and coats and that sort of stuff, and a few other bits in there for the dog, so it's all in one place, and then they go into the cupboard together, and it's called the dog's cupboard. The other good thing about these trays, I shall demonstrate. So here we have all of our sauces and condiments and that sort of stuff. Again, this weighs an absolute ton, but when we put it up here, we can then pull it down to here and rummage through and try and find things like the salt, the ketchup, that sort of stuff, without having to reach into the cupboard up here and look for items individually. So again, we measured it out, we went to various different shops and got various different sorts to make sure that we utilised as much space as possible, but at the same time, obviously, they fit in the cupboard. The great thing about this video is I'm killing two birds with one stone, so I'm slowly putting stuff away back into the cupboards and that sort of thing, and I'm making a YouTube video at the same time. Now, another little tip that we find really invaluable is to keep things in their boxes where you can. So I think this is good for two reasons. One, because it helps them to keep safe, especially things like this, which is a glass kettle, but it also helps them to fit into cupboards, and it stops them from rolling around. So we've got, bear with me, we've got our air fryer, which goes under the bed alongside the teppanyaki grill, and that's really all we keep under there, because obviously we've got the spare tyre and a broom, that's it. But yeah, toaster, kettle and the vacuum cleaner, and yeah, it just helps to keep everything safe, and it stops things from moving around. Whilst we're on boxes, this has to be the most robust box known to man. So we've had this Aqua Roll for a few years now. That is the original box, and I store it in it every single weekend. Yeah, it's looking a little bit ropey, but I think we'll get another couple of years out of that. Now, big towels, you know, like our shower towels and bath mat, even the hand towel and the dishcloth goes home every single weekend. It gets washed and brought back. Again, they're the sort of things that we will travel with in the car rather than the caravan. But little pieces like this, so we've got a few spare cloths. I've got inside cloths, outside cloths, a couple of spare dishcloths, these sort of sponges. These are really good in cupboards where you've just got that tiny little bit of space and you just want to put something behind that's soft, that just sort of acts as a little bit of a shock absorber. So, you know, when you're going around bends or over bumps, these things just sort of help to keep things nicely packed, but they weigh absolutely nothing. Remember that absolutely nothing should travel loose. I guarantee you, if anything's loose in your caravan, when you open it back up, when you get to site, it will not be in the same place. Now we're just going to pop outside. Now in here, we have just a IKEA shoe, sort of plastic shoe mat, and it just means on them really, really horrible days where it's muddy, we can open it up, we can put our shoes in. Our shoes are then not outside in the rain or the cold, but the tray can just be washed down outside with a hose. It's just a really good place to store shoes. Where possible, decant things into smaller containers. So whether that's your condiments, you know, if you're not going to use very much mayonnaise in the next few trips, don't take the massive great big bottle with you. Decant it into something smaller. We quite often swap sauces at home, so when it gets to about half full, we'll bring that one to the caravan and then we'll buy a new one for home. You can also do that with toiletries, so particularly Sara, she has various shower gels, shampoos, conditioners. Rather than bringing a new one each time, she'll sort of do the half full thing and then she'll swap it with one. She'll buy a new one for home. There's just no point in carrying around more stuff than you're actually going to use. If you can, keep your eye out for collapsible stuff. So for example, this little colander here, we use fairly regularly in the caravan, but obviously it's collapsible, so it takes up next to no space. We've got things like this, which we use as a washing up bowl. You can see there it's actually quite a decent size, but it stores away to that, which is absolutely nothing. We also have a collapsible bucket for outside, which I use for filling the flush and for just putting a bit of water in the toilet with the blue fluid. And the other thing is, we haven't used it yet, and I'm going to do a video when we first use it, but we also bought the collapse wastewater thing, you know, the ones that join in together, so that will be an upcoming video soon. Now, you may have seen this one on our recent tips, tricks and hacks video. If you haven't seen that video, go and have a look. There's 13, what I believe, really good tips, tricks and hacks. So we use our microphone for what we call soft storage. Now, we put in there things like the dog's bowls, roll of kitchen roll, and these paper liners. All of our melamine set doesn't microwave, so we also just have a cheap plate that we can use to microwave on. Do not travel with heavy items in the fridge. Now, I know a lot of people, particularly people who store their caravans at home, they like to have the fridge running, pack the fridge up, and, you know, I don't think there's any harm with taking light stuff in there. Again, same premise as everything else. Make sure that you sort of pack it well so you haven't got something sort of rolling around in there, because it will be smashed to pieces when you get to the other end. But things like, you know, like a Pepsi bottle or bottles of beer, cans, milk, that sort of stuff, I personally wouldn't travel with. I'm going to overlay a clip now, and just bear with me, just sit and watch it for, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. But both me and Sara took turns. I don't advise anybody to do this, but it was on our storage site. We took turns sitting in the caravan whilst we were driving. Now, we were doing like 5, 6, 7 miles an hour, but the vibrations inside a caravan are unbelievable. So do not do that out on the main road. It is illegal. We were going very slowly, and it was for the purpose of this video. But, you know, people who have motorhomes will know that there's quite a lot of vibrations, quite a lot of rattling in a caravan. I mean, it makes you wonder how it gets there in one piece. So I will overlay that clip now. So I'm sure you can agree that isn't a very pleasant experience, and yeah, it does just make you wonder, you know, how things don't, you know, break inside the caravan, fall apart, that sort of stuff. And I guess it's testament to the way that they're engineered and built. Some of you might be saying, actually, my caravan does fall apart. We found screws and stuff like that in here. Obviously, in my service, we had to have screws tightened. We had the table came off the latch in here, and that is just down to those immense vibrations when you are traveling. Try to fill odd cupboards full rather than every cupboard half full. If you can as well, try and make sure that you fill for every one on the left side, one on the right side, just to keep the caravan balanced. We find that if we have one full cupboard rather than little bits and pieces, then there's a lot more chance that they stay secure when we are traveling. When we first started out, I did collect some sort of small little boxes of different shapes and sizes, really just as space fillers, just to sort of put down the side to stop the trays from moving. As I mentioned earlier, we now use things like tea towels, cloths, that sort of thing, just to stop them from moving around. So when you arrive at your destination, prepare for something to fall out of every single cupboard. And as a top tip, it would be wise that it's the adults that open the cupboards for the first time and not the kids. something is going to fall out, and if you're, you know, a little one, you're reaching up into a cupboard, there's a good chance it's going to fall out and hit them on the head. We did touch on summer and winter items, but regularly check your storage space for things that you don't use. These things might be seasonal items that you want to swap out for different times of the year. If you travel with chairs to sit outside in, then don't travel around with them in your caravan or motorhome through the winter months, unless of course you're planning to use them. But just sort of keep an eye on things, because I think we are all quite good at just adding little bits and pieces, and as I said before, one bit on its own doesn't weigh that much, but when you start to add these things up, they weigh kilos and kilos and kilos, and if you're not going to use stuff, don't cart them around. Even if your weight capacity allows you to, you're burning fuel you don't need to burn, so try and keep your caravan as minimalistic as possible. We also have a couple of these clips, which I will link below, that we use to hold our toothbrushes. And I also have this really cool little pouch that holds all my toiletries that my mother-in-law bought for me for Christmas, and then when you get to your destination, you unvelcro it, and then it sort of drops down into like 3 sections, and it's got a clip on it, so when I get onto site I can carry that in the car. When I get onto site I can hang it up and all my toiletries are there. Now, another thing that you might have seen on our tips, tricks and hacks video is one of these. So this is, or can be, a regular hanger, so you can hang something over the top of it. I'm sure you know how to use a hanger. However, so there is a little groove here, and you take the hanger and you move it, it's like magic. You move it up to the top. Now you can hang that in your wardrobe, and then you can hang 8 other hangers on it. So let me just demonstrate. Obviously we've got nothing hanging on it at the moment, but we've got these hangers, and then Sarah is free to hang 8, 16, 32 tops if she wants. Don't give her any ideas. So the other thing that we have to make sure is stowed safely and securely when we travel is our 32-inch TV. Now, for those of you who've watched our previous videos, you'll know that we normally have it on the piece of top over here by the door. Every single time we travel, obviously we can't leave it there, so we lay it flat on the bed with the glass down. And then if I just spin you around, yeah, so it goes flat on the bed like that, and then we push it all the way to the back, as far as it will go, right up to the day bed piece. And then what we do with the duvet is we push the duvet all the way underneath it like that. It's as secure as it can be. We've never had a problem. It doesn't seem to move an inch. Touch wood, that continues. Now, outside storage is something that I hadn't really planned to go into. The only thing that I wanted to mention is our Dometic Organizer Pro. It hangs onto the accessory rail of our awning down the side of our caravan. I will overlay a clip now. And as you can see, it gives you plenty of places to put shoes and stuff like that. Some people use the bottom zipped up bit for storing shoes, some people use it for storing vegetables and that sort of stuff, but yeah, it just gives you some vertical space. It's not taking up any room in your awning really, but it gives you plenty of places to hide things away, let's say. So final tip is to empty liquids in the caravan, such as your toilet flush. If you have an onboard tank, you know, empty them before you move anywhere with the pink flush. And this is a slight storage tip. We use the little black thing. You take the cap off and we put it into sort of like an empty 2-litre Pepsi bottle. Sometimes it can hold more than that. And then next time we can pour that straight back into the caravan. Now obviously we do that more in the winter because of frost. But again, it's another thing, and it's not just the weight, it's the instability. Because it's liquid, it's always going to be sloshing about, and it will make your caravan unstable. So before we finish this video, there are lots of other storage things that we don't necessarily use. Again, it's because we try to travel really minimalistically. Obviously, by watching everybody else in the collaboratives videos, you're going to get loads and loads more tips. However, some of the ones that I thought of that we don't use, we spoke about the bars to try and hold things into place. They look pretty good, we just don't have a need for them. A roof box, you know, if you're traveling particularly with children, or with us, with Reggie, takes up sort of most of the back seat. A roof box is another really good idea to be able to carry more stuff. I did see, I think it was a TikTok short, it was a TikTok or a YouTube short from touring with Jeremy and Charlotte. They were showing us their Velcro bags that they use. They look absolutely amazing. Again, we don't really need to use them because we don't struggle for space, but I mean, I watched her put a duvet, a mattress topper into one of these bags. It was ginormous, and yeah, it went down to absolutely nothing. So they would be useful if you're struggling for a bit of space. Some people have a little metal bar above their shower for hanging towels and stuff on. I really wish that we had one of those. Obviously if you have one, then you can put that to good use when you are set up to try and hang a towel, keep it out of the way, and give it somewhere to dry. Okay, so that brings us towards the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, if you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. We still love getting subscribers. Also give us a like. I don't think I really appreciated how much likes help your videos. And of course, if you want to drop us a comment, you can ask us something, you can advise us something. I've picked up so many tips and tricks from you guys, it's unbelievable. So yeah, please continue to do that. Don't forget to go over to all the other channels. A link to their channel will be in the description below. Check out their videos, because some of the subjects we use you'll find really interesting, or you won't. Storage is something that I think interests most people, and if there's some tips that you can learn on some tricks, some hacks, then yeah, it's got to be worth a little watch. Now I'm going to spend the rest of my bank holiday getting all of this stuff back into the cupboards, and yeah, deciding what's staying, what's going. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.